Gosh, she's so fucking loud. I wish she'd shut her goddamn mouth. So I spent a good portion of my time, for the past, week, maybe 2 weeks or so, I've been trying to learn about North Korea because I am bored. I got no friends, no bitches, no bad bitches, but I figured I would want to learn about people who have even less bitches than I do. And I decided to learn a bunch of shit about it because might as well. I even made a nice little whiteboard for a mock example of what North Korea's continent or country look like. But the main one I'm focusing on right now is Pyongyang, because that is where all the tourism and people that give a shit about North Korea go. Because most of the country does not live in Pyongyang. It's really only the ones that are close to Kim Jong-un and people that listen to what he has to say and say yes, man, because if they don't, they will end up, for some reason, stop existing. Who could have guessed? But Pyongyang is this tiny-ass area right here, and you'd think it would be more, but the rest is just falling apart, because why would the country give a shit about the rest of their own citizens? So the main question is, when I was watching random-ass documentaries about North Korea, the question that came about is, how staged is the daily life of North Korea? And that's pretty obvious, extremely, especially if you look at any documentaries from the Western side. They come and give you some idea of what North Korea is supposed to look like. And I was watching, when you see many of these, you get mildly confused. The American camera people are fully aware this is all staged. They can see people in them just sitting in the chairs watching Google for some reason, or just typing to nothing because the keyboard's not connected in. And the officials or the tourists that are showing them around, they are aware that nothing they are showing is true. This is all staged and they make it ready for whatever rich people, whatever tourism they come over for it. And they are setting it up to pretend that it is something that is prosperous and that people know what they're doing here. Obviously, they are not. What kind of piques my interest about it is how aware are the camera people knowing how fake it is? Are the people that are showing it around how fake it is? Why are they all putting up some sort of theater, is the best way to put it? Obviously, it's staged. Now, are the extras and guides aware? Is it fake? No shit they are. Why the fuck wouldn't they? They're not dumbasses. There's a lot of dumbasses in the world, but they're not all just completely unaware of what the world is. These people in North Korea, they are still people. They still think for themselves. It's just that their dictator wants to be surrounded by people that agree with him. He's not exactly a genius, as the best way to put it. If you say anything mean to him, it tends to just disappear. If you were to go against him in any fashion, by saying what is actually happening here in North Korea, they tend to take you and their entire family, 2 generations before that, put them in camps, or send them off to, I believe, Kongi, to just forget about you because they don't want anything to be thrown out there that could potentially show what North Korea is failing at, even if the rest of the world is fully aware of how fucked up it is, and how little effort they put into their actual citizens. They are completely aware that it's fake. They are sitting at the keyboard pressing shit, and it's only the most trusted Koreans that are allowed to even be in there because they don't want to risk having anybody that is emotionally volatile to try and get in there and fuck some shit up, I suppose. But it would be kind of interesting to see that. Some of them probably do believe. We don't exactly have first-hand knowledge. We can't exactly go up there and ask them, do you believe in the regime? Because that's exactly how you get trapped in North Korea and questioned for 14 hours straight before being sent home with nothing. Not even your camera footage. They spend their whole lives constantly masking and putting on this theater for anybody that's here, even for their own family and friends, because they might be somebody that snitches. I'd say it's like World War II, the Holocaust situation. You have to try and trust some people to make sure you don't get ratted out. But you also can't trust anybody at all, because they might say, in the example, that you're a Jew, and they'll take you to some other place, and they doesn't even have to be true whether you are that or not. And in this situation, whether you are going to try and escape, think about escaping, or do anything that pisses off an official, you'll be sent away forever. And your family, and anyone you care about. So why wouldn't they be aware? My main question of what I had when I was talking to ChatGPT is kind of like a meta thought of, if you are there as a camera person trying to just get your shit done, are they also aware of how much bullshit they're giving you in these rooms of those fake grocery stores where they show you the same dumbass prosper? And obviously, why wouldn't the camera people be aware? I'm sure after going through some testing, and even if they were to try and help them, that would risk them being trapped there, as well as ruining the family they try to help. Which led to the question of, does anybody try and escape through said camera people or rich-ass people that go there? I wouldn't doubt there's probably a few chances, because I believe there are some notes that sometimes end up in the trash, but none of them are asking to be brought home to try and escape, because of course they have family they still have to rely on, and they don't want to risk hurting the people they care about, even in tyranny. At best, the messages tend to be, make sure people are aware of what is happening here, rather than help me leave, because they still have shit that they're dealing with, and that's one of the biggest motivators to actually stay in North Korea beyond running away. So they kind of have to play along, and most of these camera people are just tired. They just want to go home. Their main concern is really just not having their audio or video stolen while they're there. Just get the job done and go home. Even if it is ethically or morally wrong to try and not help anybody, it's more of what can they do anyway, beyond make things worse. We love questions. Fucking love murder. In like a satanical method. Now, how much does everyone know they're playing along? I'd imagine almost entirely everyone's aware of what the fuck is happening. Not as much as what everyone is doing. But nobody wants to be the first person to point out that this is all kind of bullshit to begin with. Everyone is playing a big-ass theater game where they're trying to make sure that they are passive and not going to be seen by anyone that could hurt their future or anyone they care about. Honestly, I think I kind of answered the question before. There's nothing much to add there. Eventually, that leads to why these performances even happen. Why are they still faking it if the rest of the world are completely aware that it's not prosperous? Why they're doing it to one another, even if they also know it's fake? Because the camera people know it's fake, the people doing it know it's fake, and the people that are showing them around also know it's fake. So it just leads to the guy that are above them of what are they going to do if they step out of line. Even if all of them are scared and completely aware that this is all bullshit. They're just doing this act for the world, just for ritual rather than for meaning. There's no meaning in doing it anymore. We know why. It's completely fake. These are all performances of pretend. And I believe they mean they keep doing it because of the slight pocket change they get from it. They don't really get millions from doing touring of their own place, but they still get enough money that they can use to spend on more bullshit items. And so they keep letting rich people come here to see their fake world that's made for them. Fun fact, though, over in, I believe, Wonsan, this is where Kim Jong-un set up a little paradise of where his mansion is. No one really goes there beyond, I believe, his trusted family and guards, I suppose. It's mildly interesting. It looks nice. It's not nice, though. If you were to describe him as a person and why he's not doing much beyond existing, it's like being born in a fully paranoid world your whole life, while also surrounded by people that are complete yes men. You don't grow up in a bubble and become a person that's trying to make a better world if you are completely surrounded by yes people who tell you your feelings and what you do are completely right, regardless of how fucking awful they are. And which is why he still runs tantrums of blowing shit up and killing people and getting rid of them just for pissing him off. So emotionally, we would say he's roughly like a 13 years, maybe. If anything, after a while, he's just bored out of his mind. Like, what else is there to do? You have no friends that you can fully trust because they all just say yes to you. And then there's no citizen you can go hang and talk to about. So he's probably just fucking bored. And now, as I say, he runs just ritual. So you don't run it because you believe your country is going to be the best. You do it because what else is there to do anymore? You don't just drop the act and say otherwise. It's like telling a child to just act older. First of all, that's a bullshit thing to ever tell anybody. And second of all, they're just gonna throw a tantrum. Now, does anybody actually break character? Eventually, somebody might break it and say, please help me. Even if just the silent plea in their eyes that you look at when they're being recorded. That's usually about as far as they get, and going back to the same notes I said earlier, they might have thrown away notes that tell us to tell the world what's happening. And even when they do, almost always goes badly. They take the person and make sure they just don't exist anymore, have been taken off the planet in a way. Any files that showed they exist is completely missing, their whole family's been gone. Any generations before that will be missing now, just because one person decided to try and help. It's very severe risk to try and break character, because breaking character means you might never see the real world, much less even be alive much longer, and then you've doomed anybody you care about's life as well. And even worse for the camera people or anybody else there, now they're going to be sent to a room to be questioned for 14 hours straight in like quick Korean. So the translator's not going to have fun, the whole camera crew's not going to have fun, and now they just want to go home. So it's not a good idea to, or hard to even attempt an escape like that. So they're just fucked. Which leads to the final question that we have. Why is North Korea obsessed with performances, even when we know it's fake? He's probably bored out of his mind. Plus it gets a few money, and they don't know how to do it better. China doesn't give a shit very much, because they just send North Koreans back if they're caught there. Russia is a collapsing country. It is in its own ruins, in a way. So they're not going to be much of a better life. They would probably be a better life compared to what they have at the moment, because most of North Korea is living in like the fucking 1800s. Most of them don't have any running water. They're in fields, they're just farmers. While the tiny amount that do get anything be mainly in Pyongyang, where they have at best like 3G phones, and they do have their own internet. It's not anything like ours or China's. It's heavily monitored, is probably full of propaganda, which would be the funniest shit to read, I'm not gonna lie. Could you imagine reading their internet posts? It's almost definitely just about the same thing over and over. More Kimmy propaganda, or how something's prospering. They do keep up this appearance. It's not even for the rest of the world anymore, like it ever was. It was almost entirely for their own citizens and for ritual. They keep up the act to make sure their own citizens are still too afraid to fight against it, and make sure everybody is uncertain of who might be against them, because they are basically blackout from the rest of the world. They do get a few smuggled in items, which I wouldn't doubt would be about from up in Haiseng and Shangjin, because they are the ones at the borders, but not in Kaesong, because that's the DMZ, which is where you're gonna be fucked. And not literally, but maybe literally. There's a chance. But you would be just shot immediately because of how many guards are running along it on north and the south of Korea. We're still at war, kind of. Anyway, that's my thoughts I had on North Korea. Subscribe for more Roblox gameplay videos. I figured you guys enjoy that. Ugh.